Prepared. The thing that stands out most about the Raiders this preseason is just how prepared the team is. Sure, there are plenty of mistakes as expected and players were beaten, but overall, the Raiders were prepared as a team. There isn't very much miscommunication and the players not knowing what to do. Last year on defense in particular, there were plenty of plays where there were just defenders looking lost. John Gruden keeps his players prepared and that has shown so far in the preseason. Now for the bad news. The backup quarterback position is awful. Connor Cook played well for the first week of the preseason, but has fallen back down to earth. EJ Manuel has played like a meh quarterback that we all expect. Neither has inspired confidence that they will be able to take over and play well when called upon. Gruden is notoriously hard and demanding on his quarterbacks, and it looks like Cook and Manuel have failed. There's a good chance that the Raiders' backup quarterback isn't on the roster. There hasn't been a whole lot of the starting offense and the scheme has been very vanilla, but the starting offensive tackles don't seem to be too good. Donald Penn has switched over to the right side and Colton Miller is on the left. Both players need experience and will likely need to learn on the fly. Miller has his moments and is really athletic for his size, but still has plenty to learn. As for Penn, I think it has more to do with him getting back into shape after not practicing for so long and getting used to being on the right side. As for the defense, the most noticeable thing so far is just how sticky the corners are in coverage. Last year, the corners would be yards away from the receiver, allowing for pretty easy completions. Rashawn Melva in particular seemed to be the number one corner. He has been sticky all preseason long and hasn't allowed many big plays. Garyon Conley and Daryl Worley look to be on the outside and slot corners and both look great. As a whole, there seems to be plenty of depth and lots of serviceable players. To go along with sticky coverage, the Raiders have had consistent pressure on the quarterback. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's remember these aren't the first team offensive linemen that have spent time working together. However, winning the one-on-one battle still shows something. The Raiders have a ton of players capable of rushing the quarterback with a constant rotation, making it very uncomfortable for the thrower. Arden Key shows flashes of what he can do, and I think the coaching staff just can't wait to unleash him once the regular season begins. To go along with Gruden's preparedness as a coach, defensive coordinator Paul Guenther has made a huge difference on defense. I'm of the mindset that if the Raiders had averaged offensive and defensive coordinators last year, they'd make the playoffs. Just look at what happened to the defense under John Pagano. Now, Guenther is a top-tier defensive coordinator. This defense looks completely different from last year, and there hasn't been a lot of miscommunication despite the fact there are lots of new players and a new scheme. This rookie class seems a little different. Colton Miller is a project, but it looks like he will be the starting left tackle. PJ Hall and Maurice Hurst look like they can be players and can create pressure from the inside. Arden Key looks to be a steal with his pass rushing talent if he can keep his head on straight. The biggest surprise is Nick Nelson and just how consistently good and sticky he has been in coverage each time he's seen a pass go his way. Heck, even 7th rounder Marcel Aitman has played well and has a shot of making the roster. The last few drafts have produced solid but nothing special players. This year's class looks and feels different and is expected to contribute right away. A problem I'm seeing is the offensive tackle position. Miller and Penn seem set as the starting tackles, and even that is a big question mark. The problem is, after those two, there really aren't any players that I would trust should one of them need to be replaced. Brandon Parker missed most of the training camp and was very raw to begin with, and the rest of the group seems very mediocre. The only backup tackle that seems decent is David Sharp. He's performed good enough this preseason, but his ceiling seems to be average. This is a league-wide problem, and the Raiders are in the same boat. Thus far, the inside linebackers don't have me very concerned. This group is not going to be special, and I think all the players are still mostly very replaceable. However, Marquel Lee has stepped up big time from last year and looks like he has a chance to be an above average starter in the league. In fact, he's the highest ranked linebacker according to Pro Football Focus. Take that how you will considering it's the preseason, but he has played well so far. Expecting greatness would be silly, but I expect them to do their job and not get lost. So far, so good from the least talented position group. The starting offense better be in sync once the regular season starts. It's hard to make notes when the offense is only on the field for 13 snaps. This has been the way all over the NFL, and I guess coaches are choosing caution over knocking off the rust. Derek Carr and the rest of the offense seem to be doing pretty well in practice, and the reports are that Gruden has seen all he needs to see. The first few weeks of the regular season are always weird, but I'm worried about the preparation for week 1 against the Rams.